What's up, everybody? It's your favorite FPL YouTubers back at it with another game week preview and analysis video. This time, game week 9. Lots of derbies this week. I know we're both definitely looking forward to it. And I'm Jarrett,
I'm Evan.
and this is How to FPL.
Let's get this
All
bread.
right. Yeah, so we're gonna, at some point in the video, discuss a game week 9 wildcard. No spoilers. And potentially bringing Salah back into our teams and what our plans are for that. So, I had a pretty average week last week. I didn't really move that much, slight red arrow. But yeah, my Arsenal players mostly returned. Trippier got an assist, and then Holland and Cancelo both did pretty well, but a lot of blanks in the team. So, spoiler, I wildcarded.
Yeah, I think you had a really good week for not wildcarding last week. The fact your team was in shape enough to not wildcard and getting above average points. I think you can call that like a dub so far in the
One
course of the
point
season.
above.
Yeah.
All right, and then your team, Evan.
Yeah, so I had a pretty good week. I did wildcard, so got to take that into account. The standard was raised. And I think the wild card paid off. I'm happy with my Kane captain. It would have turned out probably about equally if I had gone for KDB, although I might have gone KDB and Isak over someone like Kane and Saka, and honestly would have had almost exactly the same amount of points. And now Isak is hurt, so I'm happy with my decision. And a little bit worried about Emerson because I kind of brought him in. That was one of the disadvantages of wildcarding last game week, is there were actually certain picks that you had to get that were not, you know, not extremely desirable, but that you just have to fill them in, and Emerson was one of them, and now I'm not so sure about him as pick. Anyway, that's all. Green arrow, I broke a million. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's go.
So yeah, let's cover some clean sheet odds this week. So as you can see, uh, Liverpool, Chelsea, and City, as usual, are in the top three for clean sheet odds this week. And the teams they're playing, some of them are towards the bottom. So Liverpool Brighton is one that a lot of people are looking forward to, and Salah is the second most popular captain choice this week for that reason. Some people are thinking about bringing him in for this game and other Liverpool players because Brighton are just kind of in a state of turmoil right now, and Liverpool should be finding some form. Obviously, the City United game is something I'm really looking forward to. I don't think United have much of a chance in that game, and I think that's reflected in these odds. People who aren't City fans might disagree with me, but I think Holland will score early on, and it will be a hard game to watch for United supporters.
And
And
often.
obviously, and often they will score early and often. And then we've got Leicester versus Forest is also a fixture that a lot of people are targeting due to Forest's tendency to concede goals. Jarrett, do you have any thoughts on on any of these games?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll start with the Arsenal Spurs game. I'm really looking forward to that one personally, even if I don't plan on having any FPL assets. I do think Arsenal will win that game. Um, going down the list to Liverpool Brighton. You know, a lot of people are expecting Liverpool to, bounce back from their poor start to the season a little bit. And Brighton have a lot of uncertainty around them right now since Potter just left. But you never know. Maybe their new manager will do even better. So we'll see. Besides that, I do expect City to comfortably win against United. And yeah, I think in Leicester versus Forest, both teams probably score. But the result is honestly kind of a toss-up. So, yeah.
Yeah. I have one more question. We were talking about this a little bit, but it does seem a little bit odd that Southampton would be placed above Everton in clean sheet odds. Do you think that Everton defense is something people should be um, moving towards or even moving away from right now?
Yeah, no, I think the Everton defense looks really solid right now. They've kept clean sheets in their last two games, and they're now getting Pickford back. Not that Begovic did anything wrong, but they're getting their first choice goalkeeper back. They did just lose Patterson, but I do think that they should have a deputy that can do the job. They do still have Seamus Coleman. I don't know if he's fit or not, but yeah, Everton's two center back signings in Connor Cody and James Tarkowski have been elite signings and really transformed that back line.
And I think we'll get into more specifics about the Everton backline in later slides. Okay,
Absolutely.
goal scorer odds. Um, I think it's no surprise who we see at the top of this list, and he's shown no indication of of ever not scoring in a game so far. So I think that's reflected in the fact that Holland is by far the most popular captain choice this week too. But Jarrett, do you think we should be thinking about anyone else as far as our captains for this week?
No, honestly, no. Because I was thinking about, captaining potentially James Madison, or if I was going to get Mo Salah, potentially captaining him. But then I just stumbled upon Holland's points returns. I just clicking on it, and the dude is a machine. You can't forget how much of a machine he is. And right now, he should just be your set and forget captain virtually every game.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. I mean, I can see the appeal of both Leicester and Salah this week, just because Brighton and Nottingham Forest are weak teams in their own
Well,
ways.
Brighton might not be weak, but we'll see.
Yeah, their their future is up in the air.
Yeah.
Um, so I can see the temptation, but yeah. Anyway, I agree.
All right, so we can get into our teams for this week. So I am wild carding, and I do think I have a little bit of a unique wild card here. I don't think it's quite as necessarily sticking to the template as a lot of other FPL experts are. Not that I'm an expert, but and so for starters, right now I am on the Everton goalkeepers. Their fixtures are okay, and up until game week 17 when we all get a new wild card. But they definitely do have some games where they could keep clean sheets, and they also have a lot of games where I could see Pickford making a lot of saves. And you know what? I could see them picking up a few surprise clean sheets just because, I have been pretty impressed with their defense when I've watched them this year. So I might end up going for a different goalkeeper. We'll see. Guaita is an option. Raya from Brentford is an option, but we'll see. And then as far as the defenders there, I'm pretty much going for all the attacking wingback defenders in that starting lineup, along with Guahi as a rotation option, given Palace have great fixtures. Something that might have caught someone's eye is that I'm not going for any premium midfielders. I'm going for 4 mid-priced midfielders and then Andreas. And I'll get back into that rationale once I go through my whole team. And then, I think the Mitrovic, Tony, Holland forward line is probably the optimal choice right now, especially, if you're not going to captain Kane. So I'm pretty comfortable with that decision as well. But let me just give my rationale for the, all the mid-price mids and only having 1 premium. So, looking at the fixtures, you're probably going to captain Holland virtually every week besides the one he blanks in and the one that he plays Liverpool. And so, if you're just basically going to perma-captain Holland, I feel like the optimal strategy could be to, get a bunch of mid-priced players and then just try and play the fixtures. I'm benching Zaha this week. He could return against Chelsea, but that's definitely the worst fixture out of any of the other starters. So yeah, I think it's an interesting, unique strategy. We'll see if I get punished, but I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, it is hard to see you getting severely punished just because anyone in their right mind is captaining Holland week in, week out. So, a player like Salah or Kane hauling isn't necessarily going to translate into a massive rank drop for you because presumably in any of those given weeks, people will have captained Holland, especially because if you're thinking about one of those weeks that people might not be captaining Holland is the week they play Liverpool. Presumably, people won't be captaining Salah that week either. So I do think, yeah, there is a question of what you do for those 2 weeks as a Holland owner and nobody else. But if you have a strategy in your mind of who you can captain alternatively those weeks, then I think that's a great plan.
Thank
What
you.
do we think about? Yeah, of course. And obviously nobody knows. So we will just wait and see. And this is how you get better at FPL is trying out new strategies and reflecting and seeing if they worked or not. What do you think about Bowen? Just because, a lot of people might see Bowen and yeah, there was a lot of talk about him and he hasn't shown the returns yet. So how do you feel about Bowen?
Yeah, he hasn't shown a return yet this season. But I did, and I know he doesn't have great underlying stats, but I did watch West Ham's last game, and I was pretty impressed with him. I thought he was very unlucky to not return at all. And, they've had, West Ham have had 2 weeks off to try and figure out what's going on. Bowen is probably salty about not getting picked in the England games over the international break. I feel like he's got to have a point to prove. And he has decent fixtures over the next 8 game weeks, so I'm pretty comfortable taking a punt on him. And if he still hasn't returned after 3 or 4 weeks, then I'll probably ship him out. But it's a punt I'm willing to take.
Yeah, and I think now is a good time to do it too. So, lastly, last question. Trent, do you think that Trent is somebody that all wildcarders should have in their teams?
I don't think all wildcarders should necessarily have him in their teams because Liverpool do play Arsenal and Man City in 2 of their next 3 games. But with my strategy right here, I'm perfectly comfortable benching him for a game or 2, even though he is very expensive. But At the same time, I think Liverpool are supposed to be getting Konate back soon, and so they're about to have their first choice back line back finally, and I do think that will really help them defensively. We could see those clean sheets start to come back, and everybody knows that Trent can get attacking returns. So, if you're not going to have him in your team right now, I do think you need to have a strategy to get him back for when their fixtures turn in game week 12.
Yeah, I think I agree, and I think that your midfield strategy goes well with having Trent. So,
All right, let's check out your team.
should we move on? All right. So yeah, so this is my team. I'm rolling the transfer as it stands. So this is my exact same team as last week, just with the bench order changed up. But I'm really happy with where I'm at right now. I mean, I think things have gone about as well as they could have since I wildcarded it, and I'm really happy with the fact that I picked Zaha on the wild card. Like it really feels like one of those rewarding decisions where I made it. I like put off short-term rewards in order for to get the long-term rewards, even if those are just like a week or two down the line and they haven't even happened yet. It already feels like a good decision. So yeah, I think it will be really interesting to see if having a second premium like Kane is actually worth it. Because if Kane returns equally to Tony and I'm not captaining Kane, then why am I spending 11 million on him? And honestly, it's interesting we were just talking about Trent because I do think if Trent starts, performing according to his history and doing well, I think that I would definitely consider just doing a downgrading Kane in order to upgrade someone like Emerson or Neco Williams to Trent. So, so that's in the back of my mind. It's definitely not something. I mean, I'm not super eager to bring Trent in until his fixtures sort of turn. I'm pretty happy with my back line as it stands. At least my three starters. I don't really like the looks of Neco Williams in my team, but that's okay. There aren't too many clear-cut options at that price range. So yeah, I don't know. Looking forward to this week.
Yeah, I'll add in. I think you have a really solid team here, and to your Kane point, even if you're not captaining him every week, I'd imagine he will be a good captaincy option around when Holland has a blank and plays Liverpool, so he could be a good option then. And yeah, I'm gonna really be rooting for your Arsenal players to return this week.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully it'll be a high scoring game from my perspective, which those derbies usually are. Although that's a good segue because you did mention that you think this derby will be a pretty low scoring one, relatively, right?
Yeah, I mean, just I just think both teams have solid defenses at this point in time. Um, I think Arsenal will score a couple. I don't know. I don't know if Spurs will though.
Yeah. I mean,
But,
I think
but
Arsenal are even reflected in those clean sheet odds to have a much better
yeah,
chance of a clean sheet. So
absolutely. But yeah, that
exciting
wraps
week.
up our video for this week. Make sure to like and subscribe. Maybe leave a comment. And then check out our social media channels at @how_to_FPL. Let's go.
Thank you guys so much,
Bye.
and we'll see you next week.